What's up guys, I'm J-Man, and let's talk about BVS once again and discuss something that frankly I'm kind of sick of hearing. And that is, did Superman need to die at the end of the movie? We've all heard people complain about it. He didn't need to kill Doomsday, he could have had Wonder Woman do it, or Batman, or throw it at him, or blah 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 blah. People have bitched and moaned about it all the time. Even CinemaSins is like,
Superman can't just javelin this thing into Doomsday's heart. He has to crash into him to do it, so that the movie can have its fake death scene.
well, I'm here to show you that this ending absolutely was necessary and Superman did have to die. Let's get started. So putting aside the fact that this ending was actually comic accurate to one of the storylines they were adapting, there's two ways to look at this ending: narrative and practical. First, let's look at it from a narrative standpoint. Narratively, it doesn't matter if Superman needed to do it. What matters is that he wanted to do it, because he felt like it was his burden to kill. Doomsday is not only the exact opposite of Superman, an actual monster meant to wreak havoc and destruction as opposed to a god meant to bring hope, but for that reason, he's also the embodiment of what people believe Superman to be. You see, this movie is really about three men, Clark, Bruce, and Lex, living in the shadow of their father trying to make them proud. In Clark's case, he's been trying to prove to the world that he is good and be the savior that his father Jonathan always knew he would be. But no matter what he does, it seems like he always manages to make people hate him. Zack Snyder himself even said that the media was kind of its own character, displaying the public opinion of Superman that made him more conflicted to accept the world he lives in as his own.
This means something.
You did on my world. My world doesn't exist anymore.
It's only when he visits the ghost of his father, Jonathan, that he finds a reason to fight for it. Think of it this way, he feels more and more like that scared little boy in the closet again, feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders get heavier and heavier. His mother at the time told him to make it smaller somehow. In this movie, however, he doesn't know how to do that anymore. When he visits Jonathan, he tells him the story about the flood, and by saving his own farm, he managed to cause damage to another, killing their horses and being haunted from it ever since. But the way he made it better was through Martha.
She gave me faith that there's good in this world. She was my world.
And this is exactly how Clark manages to make the world small again, by turning it into the woman that he loves. He even says so just before he does it.
This is my world. You are my world.
So this is literally the moment that completes his whole character arc in the film. And it worked. People had literally gathered in masses to commemorate Superman and the sacrifice that he made. Even people that hated him are gathered to thank him for what he's done. He did exactly what Superman does. He brought hope to everyone and gave them something to look up to and admire. So now that we've looked at it narratively, let's look at it from a practical standpoint. Superman was not the only one that killed him. It was literally a team effort. Wonder Woman held him tight in one place. Batman weakened him with his last kryptonite grenade, and Superman stabbed him in the chest. For those who think, oh, Batman could have done it instead, well, actually, no, because Doomsday is literally a giant monster built from the body of a god. Batman would not have been nearly strong enough to do it. For those who think, oh, Wonder Woman should have done it, well, first of all, would you rather it was her who died instead? She's no stronger than Superman, she probably wouldn't have been able to survive either. Second of all, for those who think that she could have just let Superman hold him steady, well, remember, she's not quite at that level of trust yet with Batman and Superman. It's not like she could just let other people handle her stuff. Remember, even in her own movie, she wasn't even willing to give up her sword and shield, especially to a man. It took some convincing for her to even let Edda take them. Some may say that Superman could have just thrown it at Doomsday. Well, not really, because as they say in the movie, the spear is pure kryptonite, so he would have been too weak to even throw it straight. Second of all, it took a massive effort for him to kill Doomsday just the way he did, so even if he did manage to throw it at him, it would barely just pierce his skin. He would still need to get up close and personal to finish the job. Now for those who think it was way too early for this to even happen to Superman. Well, I'm not gonna lie, I used to think the same thing. Until I realized the structure of the entire trilogy, with Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Justice League. Man of Steel begins and ends with birth. Batman v Superman begins and ends with death. And the theme of Justice League, or what was supposed to be the theme, is rebirth or resurrection. Yeah, you could argue that they were basically doing the whole Jesus thing with him, but regardless, there was an actual point to it. These movies have not just been about the transformation of Kal-El to Clark and then Clark to Superman. They've also been about how Superman changes the world. Yes, the world in these movies is depicted as dark and bleak and gray and cruel, but have you ever noticed that whenever Superman is presented, he always has a blinding light behind him? Maybe that kind of means that he is a shining light in a dark world that needs a savior. That's why the world in Justice League has now changed to be more colorful and bright because of Superman's example. So whenever someone says that Superman didn't need to die or Superman shouldn't have died, just remember that even if there was another way to do it, he still would have wanted to do it anyway. And that's what makes this Superman great in my opinion. It shows him in the most human way far better than any other interpretation has. But what do you think? Are you still not convinced? Did Superman need to give up his life for the sake of humanity? Whatever it is, don't be shy, leave a reply. Also be sure to follow me on Facebook and Twitter and support me on Patreon. And if you like this video, you can like, comment, and subscribe to the J-Man.